At first, it looked like nothing more than an ordinary recording. A fixed camera, a quiet room, a digital timestamp blinking in the corner. No screaming, no blood, no visible crime. And yet, months later, detectives would say this footage haunted them more than any violent video they had ever reviewed. Because what it showed was not chaos, but calm. Not rage, but planning. And not a murder itself, but the moment a life quietly crossed the point of no return. This is the story behind that tape. And the people who didn't know they were already standing inside a murder plot. The town of Riverton Heights sat just outside a major city. It was the kind of place people moved to when they wanted predictability. Same streets, same routines, same faces at the grocery store every Sunday morning. Crime existed here, but quietly. Petty thefts, the occasional domestic dispute. Nothing that ever made national news. That is why, when investigators later replayed the footage frame by frame, they kept asking the same question. How did something this calculated happen here, without anyone noticing? Ethan Blake was 42 years old. He worked as a freelance video technician, mostly installing security cameras for small businesses and private homes. It was honest work, invisible work, the kind of job where people forgot your name but trusted you with access to their most private spaces. Ethan lived alone in a modest apartment near the edge of town. No criminal record, no history of violence. Neighbors described him as quiet, polite, and a little withdrawn. He liked routine. Every morning, he walked to the same cafe at 7:15 a.m., ordered black coffee, sat by the window, left by 7:40. No one remembered him talking much, but everyone remembered him listening. Lena Harper arrived in Riverton Heights 2 years before the crime. She was 29, a graduate student in psychology, working part-time at a nonprofit crisis center. Her work involved listening to people at their lowest moments, victims of abuse, trauma, loss. Friends said Lena had a calming presence. She asked thoughtful questions. She remembered details. She made people feel seen. Ethan met her at the cafe. At first, it was nothing. A glance. A polite nod. Then one morning, Lena asked if she could share his table. The place was full. Ethan said yes. That single decision would later appear repeatedly in police timelines. Over the next few months, Ethan and Lena became familiar faces together. They talked about books, work, childhood memories. Nothing dramatic, nothing alarming. Lena told Ethan about her research, about human behavior, about how people hide parts of themselves even from those closest to them. Ethan listened, and slowly, he began offering help. He fixed her laptop, installed a security camera at her apartment, just for peace of mind, helped reorganize her small home office. To Lena, Ethan felt safe, reliable, almost invisible. To investigators later, this was the most chilling part. 6 months into their friendship, Ethan suggested adding one more camera. Not for security, for a research project, he said. Lena was skeptical at first, but Ethan explained that the camera would only record during scheduled times. It would help her analyze micro-expressions for her studies. No faces published, no audio shared. Everything would be ethical, controlled. Ethan even drafted a consent form. Lena signed it. The camera was placed in her home office, angled toward a neutral wall and desk. It looked harmless. That camera would later become the centerpiece of the case. Friends noticed subtle changes in Lena over time. She canceled plans more often, seemed tired, distracted, sometimes uneasy, for reasons she couldn't explain. When asked, she brushed it off. Just school stress, she said. Ethan, on the other hand, seemed calmer than ever. More focused, more organized, almost relieved. No one connected the two. The footage that would later shock investigators starts on a Tuesday evening. The timestamp reads 9:14 p.m. Lena enters the frame, carrying a notebook. She sits at her desk. The room is quiet, the lighting soft. Ethan is already there, standing near the edge of the frame. He is holding a folder. There is no visible argument, no raised voice, just two people talking. But detectives later noted something unsettling. Lena does not know the camera is recording. Ethan changed the settings. The audio, clean, deliberate, captures Ethan explaining something. Not angrily, not emotionally. He talks about control, about choices, about how people don't realize when their lives become predictable. Lena laughs nervously at first, thinks it's philosophical, academic. Then she asks him to stop recording. Ethan does not respond. Instead, he sits down, The conversation continues for nearly 40 minutes. At 9:57 p.m., Lena stands up. Her voice is firmer now. She tells Ethan she wants him to leave. Ethan looks directly into the camera and says one sentence that would later be replayed in courtrooms, documentaries, and news reports around the world. "This is the last normal conversation you'll ever have." Lena freezes. The tape ends abruptly at 10:01 p.m. What happened next is not shown. Lena did not show up to work the next day, or the day after. Her phone went unanswered. Her apartment was locked. No signs of struggle. No broken windows. No blood. Just silence. Ethan returned to his routine. Same cafe. Same coffee. Same window seat. When police eventually questioned him, he cooperated fully. Calm. Measured. He even suggested they review the research footage. That was his mistake. Forensic analysts discovered multiple hidden recordings. Different angles. Different days. Ethan had been documenting Lena's routines for months. Not obsessively. Methodically. The final tape was not an accident. It was a record. A confession without a crime scene. Yet Lena's body was never found. To this day, investigators debate one question. Was the murder already complete before the tape ended? Or was the tape only the beginning? Ethan Blake remains in custody, refusing to answer further questions. And somewhere, locked in evidence storage, sits the final frame of the recording. Frozen on Ethan's face, staring into the camera, perfectly calm. As if he knew the world would eventually be watching. The search warrant was signed at 6:12 a.m. By 6:45, officers were standing outside Ethan Blake's apartment. Unit 3B, a beige concrete building that blended perfectly into Riverton Heights. The hallway smelled faintly of detergent and old carpet. Nothing about the place suggested urgency or danger. Ethan had already been taken into custody for questioning. He did not resist. He did not ask why. He only asked one thing. Will you make sure the cameras are handled carefully? That request was written down, and later, it would make sense. The door opened easily. No barricades. No hidden rooms. No immediate signs of a struggle. The apartment was clean, almost sterile. A small couch. A tidy kitchen. A neatly made bed. Everything arranged with intention. Investigators noted how little personal clutter there was. No photos on the walls. No souvenirs. No visible emotional attachments. It felt less like a home and more like a workspace. Then they saw the equipment. Behind a false panel in the hallway closet, officers discovered a compact server rack, multiple hard drives, backup power supplies, professional-grade recording equipment. This was not hobbyist gear. Each drive was carefully labeled. Dates, times, locations. One label stood out immediately. LR_Harper_final. LR. Lena Reed Harper. The room went quiet. Back at the digital forensics lab, analysts began reviewing the contents. At first, the footage seemed harmless. Lena cooking, Lena reading, Lena working at her desk. Normal life. Captured from angles she didn't know existed. Then patterns emerged. Every recording was time-stamped. Every movement logged. Every routine mapped. Ethan, had been studying her life the way one might study an experiment. But the most disturbing discovery was not the volume of recordings. It was the edits. Ethan had created compilations, montages of Lena's habits, clips showing how long she stayed in each room, graphs tracking her emotional state based on facial expressions. He had annotated moments where she appeared tired, anxious, distracted. One note read, stress response increasing, decision window approaching. Another, attachment level stabilized, trust achieved. Investigators realized this was not surveillance. It was preparation. Hidden deep within the files was footage from an angle no one recognized. Not the office camera, not the living room, not the hallway. This camera was mobile. The timestamp matched the night Lena disappeared. The lens pointed downward, swaying slightly. A body camera. The video did not show violence. It showed movement. A quiet car ride. A dimly lit road. Ethan's voice, calm and instructional, as if narrating a tutorial. Lena's voice was barely audible. Confused. Exhausted. Asking where they were going. Ethan responded gently. You already agreed, he said. That was all. The footage cut out after 12 minutes. The battery died. Back at the apartment, officers continued searching. Behind a framed city map, one that looked decorative at first, they found markings. Small red dots. Coordinates. Dates. Each dot corresponded to locations outside Riverton Heights. Remote areas, abandoned structures, places without cameras. One location was circled twice. That area would later become the focus of a massive search operation. A receipt found in Ethan's desk led police to a self-storage facility on the edge of town. Unit 114. The manager remembered Ethan clearly. Quiet, on time, always paid in cash. Inside the unit, officers found sealed plastic containers. Empty, except for one item. Lena's necklace. The same necklace her friends said she never took off. As evidence mounted, investigators brought in behavioral analysts. What they concluded sent chills through the department. Ethan had not acted impulsively. He had not acted out of obsession or rage. He had acted out of control. According to experts, Ethan believed he was documenting a transformation, guiding Lena toward what he saw as an inevitable outcome. The tape in her office was not a threat. It was a milestone. Confronted with the evidence, Ethan remained calm, until detectives played one specific clip, a short recording from weeks before Lena vanished. In it, Ethan sat alone in his apartment, speaking directly to the camera. "I won't be there at the end," he said, "but the process will be complete." For the first time, Ethan reacted. He asked for the video to be turned off. That was the moment investigators knew. This was not about one person. It was about a system, hidden in a secondary drive were folders marked only with initials. Different initials. Different timelines. Incomplete. Analysts believe Lena was not the first subject. She was the first finished one. Despite extensive searches, Lena's body was never recovered. Ethan Blake was charged with multiple offenses related to unlawful surveillance, kidnapping, and obstruction, but without physical remains, the most serious charge remained just out of reach. He has never confessed, never denied, never explained. In evidence storage, the last frame of the office tape remains frozen. Ethan's face, calm, certain, as if he was never speaking to Lena at all, as if he was speaking to us. Because somewhere, perhaps already recording, there may be another camera, another subject, another tape waiting to be found. And the most disturbing question of all still hangs in the air. Was Ethan documenting a murder, or perfecting a method